much hope for the future. So the reporter said, well, I'd like to go for a ride. And of course, Mrs. Thompson couldn't go. And the reporter and Roger were in the car. And the reporter is really badgering, saying, is this really a car from Texas? In Texas, everything is big. And then, you know, this car certainly doesn't have the acceleration to compete with the big cars and the fast cars on the road in Texas. And Roger kept saying, hey, you know, this car isn't about that. It's all different. It accelerates just fine. You know, do you notice any lack of power in the car? And the reporter kept badgering, what's the 0 to 60 time? And Colonel Thompson was very patient and said, you know, I really don't know, but let me tell you about what this car can do. So finally the reporter wouldn't give up as they normally do. He pulled over the car and he says, I'm going to answer your question about acceleration. He said, this car is fun. I can merge with traffic on any highway that I've driven on in this car, and it does great. I can keep up with traffic. It goes 90 plus miles an hour if it has to. He says, but I'm going to tell you one thing about this. This car has nothing to do with acceleration and everything to do with exhilaration. And I couldn't have said it better. And Colonel Thompson passed away in October of that year. And I kept in contact with him quite often. And I spoke at the University of North Texas just this past March. And I invited his widow and his son to come and sit in the audience. And there were about, it had to be 1,000 students. And I was doing my usual SMART presentation about the launch of SMART. And of course, I told the story I just told you. And every student in that place stood up and cheered Mrs. Thompson and her son. And when it was all over, they crowded around her and asked her every question about the car and about if the story was true that I told them. And part of the lore of SMART, just like all of you are, just like Ken Wager is, for keeping us in touch with the owners. Still today he does that. People like Gary that will organize events like this. We're in the middle, and Ken has started this and putting together a national picnic, I guess we're going to call it, or get together somewhere in the middle of the United States for next year. It's completely his idea, and he has plenty of help. And we're going to try to jump on the bandwagon with him and see what we could do to help support it and fund as much of it as possible and make it an event that is keeping with the spirit of this brand. So I just want to thank all of you. I mean, I got a big thank you for coming out. Thank you. I mean, I got to tell you, it energizes me to come here and be around you.
Did you do the Dragon?
I did the Dragon, but I did the Dragon in the wrong car. That's why I got Dramamine. I got to be jet fuel at an event in the Wisconsin Dells, and so many other wonderful people that I've reacquainted with here. And we have a drive in Detroit where many people from all over the United States will come and cruise day.
Yep, I was there.
You were there?
I was there.
Did you?
I'm the one that said to you about the.
You're from Florida.
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember.
I mentioned the.
How can you forget?
But we had such a nice time. Now, does everybody cheer in Detroit? They cheer when the SMART will come in there in part of the entourage of beautiful old cars in the Motor City. The whole parade of SMART 4.2s will come by, and everyone will cheer, and they'll point, and they'll take their pictures just like they do a 65 Mustang. So, it's fun to do that. If you ever want to do that, it's around August every year in Detroit. It's a fantastic event.
In 5 and 6.
Baby Dance volunteered to take you on the Dragon on wheels.
Good. we were the only ones on. There was a handful of Canadians.
I have a 7 a.m. flight out tomorrow.
Very high tomorrow.
They'll do it tonight.
That night?
Can we do the night? Can we do the night run? I don't know.
I'm still trying to figure out how we're going back. We're following each other, right?
I got your back.
You said you were leaving. So you're going to leave? I thought you said you was driving. I was just going to hang on. I'll tell Avis Rent-A-Car, come pick up that piece of junk. Anyway, so I'm gonna entertain any questions. I think I've babbled enough here. I apologize for talking. Please.
Any chance about getting service centers in more locations if there's not a dealership in states?
You know, I'm going around the reason why the question was, I'll repeat it. The question was, in some of the remote areas where we don't have service for a long ways, is there a possibility we could set up authorized service centers for Smart? And I'm going around the United States right now and visiting every dealer in a period of about 3 weeks. And one of the questions I want to ask them, the reason why we don't do it is because you don't want to compromise. The dealer invested a lot of money for the franchise. You don't want to take service business away from them. So one idea we do have is if we put together the training programs and the certifications required to achieve smart technician standards, would the dealer be interested in partnering with someone, say you're in Minneapolis, partnering with someone in Des Moines, Iowa, an independent, not another new car dealer, and be able to participate in that service? Would they be interested in doing it? And most of the dealers are saying, yeah, they would. So I think there's a possibility that we will find a way to do that. Now, the reason why you don't do it right away is because there are so many franchise laws in the United States that as soon as you do that, a dealer can raise that service point, can say, I represent Smart, I'm claiming a right to your franchise. And it's very, very difficult to try to fight that because most of the laws are always in favor of the independent business. So that's some of the background and how we're trying to deal with that. But we'd like to do that.
Could Bensky slip us into a Saturn dealer?
Julian Nackard, another one of my internet friends, he sends me great stuff all the time. And Julian, thank you for that. But another one of our owners that have communicated with me almost from the start with also terrific ideas. So the question was, he's referring to Roger Penske, who's our CEO. Many of you know him from his race car conquests. He's won the Indianapolis 500 as an owner 15 times. Now that's like the New York Yankees of baseball. The next owner that's won the most Indy 500 races, 2. I think it's the Andretti, 2. So he's won it 15 times, 2. So Penske Truck Leasing, you see all the yellow trucks on the highways in America, #1 truck leasing company in the world. He has on any given day 200,000 trucks in operation. He has a distribution rights for Smart. That's who I work for. The Daimler wanted to do it differently, not strictly through Mercedes, but through an independent distributor. So Roger signed a letter of intent also to purchase the Saturn franchise. GM was going to shut it down. Roger went in there and said, hey, look, this is a great company. Philosophically, it's kind of aligned with Smart. It's something we know how to do. And he signed a letter of intent back in May. And I think within the next week or so, hopefully they'll move to the contract phase and he'll officially take over for Saturn. So Julian's question was, is there a way we could partner and get our cars serviced at Saturn? The answer to that is no. We want to keep those brands, again, completely separate in respect to the Smart dealers that invested their money in Smart, and in respect to the Saturn dealers, because you'd have to do a quid pro quo in respect for their investment. So, and you want to keep the brands as pure as possible. So for right now, Julian, that probably won't happen. Yeah, Bill.
I know the 451 is a 208 newer, the 450 is older.
Yes.
What is the significance of the 450, 451?
Nothing other than a code name. All the Mercedes products have code names. Like the E-Class was a 210. So they all have 3 numerical numbers, and they specifically refer to a generation of their product. So I think the new E-Class is a 214. I'm not sure exactly what number sequence they're on, but it's a numbering sequence that they use as a code name until they finally name the car. And it gives them, because they're all going to be an E350, so you need to know what generation it is, and that code name will identify the generation. Like the Smart 42, whether it was a previous generation or the current, is still the Smart 42. It's only identified by that code name 450 to 451. But it's only an inside number, but we've kind of romanticized it a little